If there is a white swan, then the brunette and mysterious Megan Draper is definitely the black swan of Mad Men. The two polar opposite wives of Don Draper are equally as intriguing to watch as their personalities are to unravel. We have the suburban traditional 1950s housewife versus the cosmopolitan career woman of the 60s. Just like Betty, Megan's life and characteristics are way more complex than meets the eye. I would even dare to say, more so than Betty's. Which is why it took me nearly a year and several script rewrites to make this video. So let's take a look at the glamorous and tumultuous life of Megan Draper. After purposely getting fired from PPL, ad agency Sterling Cooper Draper Price has a fresh start at a new location in Manhattan, with old and new faces joining together to make the business a success. New face and aspiring actress Megan Calvé is hired as the office front desk receptionist as a visual representation of the company, as is quickly established by the curious eyes of Peggy Olson's new friends, who are more than eager to have a look at her. To the rest of the office though, Don included, the board receptionist is an invisible worker that they don't think twice about. This all changes one tragic day when Don's secretary, Ida Blankenship, meets a sudden and unexpected death at her desk. While busy with an important meeting, and while Don's daughter Sally happens to be sitting in his office after running away from home, it's Megan who comes through and offers a helping hand during an extremely difficult situation. The very next day, Sally runs through the office upset about having to go home to Betty, when she makes an awful and embarrassing tumble in the hallway. It's Megan again who enters the picture like a guardian angel and gives Sally the hug she desperately wanted and also needed, showing a warm and capable side to Don and the rest of the office.
It's gonna be all right.
No, it's not.
I fall all the time.
It's from this day on that Don begins to notice her and then finds it impossible not to notice her when she becomes his new secretary. Recently divorced, Don isn't just looking for a model-like replacement of Betty. He wants to improve his ways and live a happier and healthier lifestyle than the one he had before. He's not just looking for a pretty face, he's looking for a second mother to his children. But it's something else that truly hooks Don onto Megan's personality. When Sterling Cooper Draper Price is fired by their biggest account, Lucky Strike, Don invents a clever and rather unusual strategy to tell the world that they're not going under, but instead continue on stronger than they were before. He writes a letter to the New York Times to be printed out in full in their newspaper, a letter stating that their agency will no longer be taking on tobacco accounts. As expected, the office is less than thrilled about his decision to henceforth forgo the huge money-making industry that is tobacco, without even consulting them.
Don't you realize the clients are all going to think you could turn on them at any minute?
I'm not going to explain to you what I did. It's an ad for this agency. If you don't understand it, then you shouldn't be in this business. I did what I thought was best for the company. You can either back me or not.
You did what was best for you.
We've created a monster.
At his creative lowest, it's Megan who shares that she understands what he was trying to say.
By the way, I love the letter. I love that you stand for something.
Megan, that's not really what it's about.
I know that part. I know it was about he didn't dump me, I dumped him. I just love that you did it. It feels different around here.
Megan explains to Don that she would like to eventually become a copywriter like Peggy, and that she's interested in helping him out to learn from him.
I think I'd like eventually to do what you do, or what Miss Olson does.
The cherry on top is their romantic affair. Now, unfortunately, I chose the word affair because Don isn't a single man, and is actually in a pretty serious relationship with audience favorite and office strategist Faye Miller. Faye is a smart and emotionally mature woman who finds it relatively easy to unravel the characteristics of strangers she meets through work. She's independent and knows what she wants, including her choice to remain child-free.
I'm not good with kids. God knows I'd be lying if I said it didn't cross my mind. Would I meet your children? When would I meet your children? But I don't have any. I love children, but I chose to be where I am. I don't view it as a failure.
Faye even predicts Don's future, which is entirely based on his perceived character.
Don't worry, you'll be married again in a year.
What?
I'm sorry. I always forget. Nobody wants to think they're a type.
But as is true with every narcissistic type personality known to exist, no one, not even someone as stable and as strong as Faye Miller, is immune to their fake charms. Don uses Faye's loyalty and caring nature to his advantage, completely disregarding her feelings and career, eventually leading Faye to lose the one thing she cares about most, her job.
Are you kidding?
No. Why? I'm drowning here.
You know I can't do that.
If a client is unhappy, they're unhappy. There's nothing against telling them to have dinner with me. Or if you don't want to, tell me who they are. I'll call them out of the blue.
I can't do that.
Sure you can.
So I'm gonna kill my business to save yours?
It's not your business. It's Atherton's. This is different. This is everything to me.
I don't believe this. You want a shoulder to cry on, fine. You want to throw me to the wolves so you can save your neck? Forget it.
I would do it for you.
I would never ask. I would never use you like that.
What's this?
My things. We had to resign. Jeff Atherton wants another cigarette account someday.
I'm so sorry. I didn't think about that.
I know.
It's a stern reminder that Don only truly cares and thinks about himself. When at the end of season 4, Betty finally makes a decision to move out of the home she shared with Don, she wrongfully and abruptly fires the children's lifelong nanny, Carla. With plans set in motion to go to Disneyland in California, Don finds himself without a nanny to take care of the children on their trip. And in his struggle to find replacement, he ends up asking none other than the kind and nurturing Megan to join him and his kids on their California adventure.
You'll be great. Sally loved you, and Bobby likes a pretty face and a baby. He's tough, but he's fun.
I've never been to California. I have a college friend who's been begging me to visit.
Perfect.
It's on this trip to Disneyland that Don gets a look into the perfect happy American family life that he had always envisioned for himself, making the trip an unofficial audition for Megan as a stepmother. She's a natural with the kids, and Sally in particular starts to view Megan as her friend.
Jean can't go on Mr. Toad.
You can stay with Megan while we go on the ride.
And Megan can't go.
Sally and Bobby get into an argument, and in a fit of anger, Sally accidentally tips over a milkshake. Where Betty would have been furious, Megan is calm and reassuring, diffusing the situation and entirely surprising both Don and the children.
Bobby, what did I just say?
I was an accident.
You don't listen. Don, do something.
Is that what you wanted? Great.
Don't be upset. It's just a milkshake. You grab a straw or some napkins. This is my last dress.
Don begins to rethink his relationship with Faye Miller. Faye's judicious personality is quick to call out Don's bad behavior and pushes him to take accountability for the mistakes he has made in the past, all so he can finally let go of the past and become a better version of himself.
Turn yourself in. Have someone plead for clemency.
It's not that simple.
But Don has always and probably always will run away from the serious issues in his life, ignoring them entirely, choosing the coward way forward.
I feel like myself when I'm with you, but the way I always wanted to feel.
Don proposes to Megan after barely getting to know her,
This is all so fast.
basing this huge life-altering decision completely on the way she makes him feel, choosing the fun new distraction rather than the sensible change that his character needs.
What about Tomorrowland? I don't want to ride an elephant. I want to fly a jet.
Megan looks at Don the way he wants to be seen, rather than who he truly is.
I know how I want you to see me.
Their marriage starts the same way you would expect of any other cliché second marriage, with a 15-year age gap and a wishful delusion that this time it's true love. However, it doesn't take long for the fairy tale to crack. Now, whether he knows it or not, Megan's character is very much the opposite of that of Don's. Still only in her mid-20s, she's a fun-loving, energetic, and hopeful person that firmly believes in herself and her capabilities.
And you've never seen me throw a party. Everyone's gonna go home from this, and they're gonna have sex.
Her parents, a strong, opinionated Catholic mother, and her atheist father, a college professor, raised her to be an independent and goal-oriented woman with a faint belief in a higher power. They taught her that she could achieve anything, but failed to show her that it takes time and energy and a lot of work to do so. Other characters on the show, like Peggy, work for years to get to where they want to be. But Megan has learned to expect everything to be handed to her on a silver platter or to leave it all up to fate.
You know what? It's just so easy for you from your throne on 73rd and Park. Some of us act for a living, and we wait tables when we don't.
That's not fair.
No, it isn't.
The show tells us that Megan went to college, but also that her father is a college professor, which means she most likely got in through his recommendation or at least got some help. With big dreams of making it as an actress, Megan moves to New York but ends up struggling to find any jobs. She ends up working for Sterling Cooper Draper Price, but with the mindset that her job there is only temporary, as is evident in how easily she's ready to give up and accepts being fired.
Oh God, I'm so embarrassed. You're right, you're absolutely right. If you want to fire me, I'd understand completely.
It's clear from the start that Megan doesn't want to be there, and only through Don is aspiring to become a copywriter, which again is handed to her through marriage and no real work or struggle. Meanwhile, Don expects her to be an extension of himself, and for the first time in his life feels that he's found an equal in both his work and private relationship. Megan turns out a triumph in the ad world and invents a clever campaign for Heinz Baked Beans, something for which she ends up winning an award. But even though she's proven to be a very capable and clever copywriter, Megan isn't happy.
This is as good as this job gets. Savor it.
You're right. I will.
She doesn't feel the satisfaction and exhilaration one should feel, like Peggy feels. With some wise but harsh words from her father, she ultimately decides to quit advertising and get back to becoming an actress. With a New York City apartment and all expenses paid, of course.
I always thought you were very single-minded about your dreams and that would help you through life. But now I see that you skipped the struggle and went right to the end.
This is when Don learns that, unlike Betty, he can't control Megan, nor is she truly interested in his interests. There are multiple times when Don tries to use manipulative tactics to get Megan to do what he wants, but fails.
Can you let it go?
You brought it up.
No, I didn't.
You did.
Don's narcissistic ways would have worked on Betty, a woman who was raised to believe she could be nothing more than a submissive housewife.
You asked me if I like it. I don't. It's desperate.
But Megan was taught more modern values by her parents.
Don't waste money on things like that.
It was my money, and you don't get to decide what I do with it.
Not surprising, Don doesn't like it one bit, and his happy honeymoon demeanor quickly turns sour.
Every time we fight, it just diminishes us a little bit.
As expected with any beginning actress, Megan experiences rejection after rejection, turning her usual gullible, happy self into that of a bitter and depressed woman. Instead of fighting for what she wants, she feels that the universe is being unfair to her. And when she learns from a friend that there's an audition for a commercial through her husband's agency, she once again chooses to go for the easy route towards success and ask for Don's help and recommendation.
I just want an audition. I'll be Megan Calvert.
Don is not a fan of the idea of being a benefactor to his wife, for multiple reasons. But after feeling responsible for the untimely death of Lane Price, remembering his brother and other wrongdoings in his past, he takes this chance to do good, to soothe his aching ego. Officially starting Megan's acting career and landing her a role on the popular soap opera To Have and to Hold. It's this moment in her life that makes Don clock out almost completely, making it the final straw of what his ego can accept. Even though he's responsible for his wife's success, Don can't handle the loss of control he has over her. He returns to his toxic ways and, just like with Betty, has secret affairs with women. Most notable, the woman living only one floor below. Don's avoidant behavior slowly poisons their marriage. Even though Megan is happy with her career on national TV, Dawn is not, even going as far as to compare her career to that of a sex worker.
You kiss people for money. You know who does that?
You couldn't stop it, so I guess ruining it was enough for you.
Struggling immensely with his sense of self, Don completely self-destructs his life and has no problem taking Megan right down with him, eventually abandoning her and leaving her completely alone and without a job in California after making false promises to fix their relationship.
I'm sorry, but we can't go to California right now.
No, Dawn, that's not possible.
Even though he gets fired and has every chance to see her, he refuses to be with her. After quitting her acting job in New York, Megan finds herself back in the same vicious cycle of rejection as before. Megan is isolated and surrounded by people who do whatever it takes to succeed in the cruel industry that is Hollywood. But as we know now from the shocking interviews with famous actresses from back then, many beautiful and talented women who were perfect to shine in leading roles, just like Megan, experienced no true success without being subjected to perform sexual acts with the atrocious men in charge. A dark path that is hinted at when Megan, out of sheer desperation, meets up with none other than Harry to find her way into the film industry. Harry compliments her looks and talent, but has no interest in helping her after she refuses to sleep with him.
Megan, you're a big girl. Maybe you're in this situation because of how you're reacting to this. Hold on, forget all that.
The longer Megan is alone in California, the more she begins to resent Don for never visiting her, noticing his strange behavior and silence on the other end of the phone. She has suspicions that Don might be having an affair, but doesn't want to ruin the little bit of time they have together when he does finally visit. It's obvious from her behavior that the end is near as her feelings for Don slowly wilt and die.
I can finally move out there. Megan.
I'm here.
When Megan learns that Don chose to stay away from her rather than be with her, the illusion that she was sold finally shatters, and she sees Don for who he truly is. In her words,
an aging, sloppy, selfish liar.
Now, some viewers watching Mad Men strongly believe Megan to be nothing more but a calculating gold digger. And even though she did pick the easy way into a financially comfortable life, I do believe Megan truly loved Don, even going as far as to say that she would choose her love for him over her love for acting.
And if I have to choose between you and that, I'll choose you.
When looking at Don's two failed marriages and comparing the similarities, it's clear that the common denominator is Don, who, whether intentional or not, picked both women to be nothing more but different versions of a classic trophy wife. Don never changed, nor did he truly want to change. Both Betty and Megan start out as enchanting, spirited, sweet, and vivacious women, and it's disturbing to watch their fall, or I should say push, from grace. Neither of them are perfect by any means, but they deserved better.